Nice to see you again. Hare Krishna.
It's been a while.
Yep, been a little bit. Have you been, Graham?
A lot of changes. I was working in the office for a while, and now I'm back working remotely.
Okay.
I enjoy
Well, you're still where I saw you last. You were exactly in the same spot, I remember. So some things never change, which is great. Yeah. Excited to be with you again. Remember the engaged discussion we had last time.
I engage in a lot of discussions, but
You're a regular.
I am, yes.
Nice.
Yeah, he's been the most regular. We love seeing Graham on Wisdom Wednesdays and what he has to share.
So I know it says Seattle Mantra Lounge. Like, is everybody in Seattle?
I'm in Redmond.
I am.
I think Priya, you're in Seattle, right?
Yes, I'm in Seattle.
Okay. And Graham, you said Redmond, which is in like another part of, actually it's not in Seattle, but it's still in Washington.
Okay.
It's, I don't know, for those of you who are outside of Seattle, Lake Washington separates Seattle from the east side. So the east side is anything east of Lake Washington. So Bellevue, Kirkland, Duval, but that's kind of out in the sticks.
Sounds good.
Yes. All right. Maybe we can get started and we'll wait as we do the icebreaker for anybody else who will trickle in a bit. Right. Well, welcome to Wisdom Wednesdays, everyone. We're so excited you're here. And before we get started, we'll do a short icebreaker just to get in the groove of our topic for today. Sorry, that is not the icebreaker. All right. I thought this was a fun question about communication, talking about what is our favorite method of communication. So, are you more of a texter, caller, or a voice note person, and why? And I know people can have very strong feelings about this, so feel free to go all out if you had any other ideas to share. Yeah.
I hate it when people call me on the phone. Like, I feel like, especially with your mobile phone, it's like your front door. If you want to talk to me, you should text me first.
That is very true.
Probably comes from my many years of doing many, many meetings.
Is the post-meeting trauma syndrome suffering from?
Yeah.
Exactly. And now you have to look good to be in meetings too, because before we used to have conference calls and you could just show up however, and now everyone wants to see your ugly face. Or
Nice
my
to see you,
ugly face.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Graham, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I like texting. Depending on who's texting me. If somebody say, "Hi, we're in the area. We want to buy your house," okay, go away. But of course, I work remotely, and I'm on the phone, and then of course on my landline or my cell phone, I get all these callers, and they want to sell me. I'm one of these throwbacks that has a landline still, and for the most part, I mean, the landline is more or less quiet, except when my sister will call, and I've got a couple of friends that call me on the phone, but on the landline or the cell phone. I get calls on the cell phone, and then I look at it, spam likely. No, I'm not going to answer that. But as far as communicating, I'm more of a vocal person.
Sorry, what did you say? You're more of a what?
Vocal person.
Vocal person. Okay.
And prefer face to face. This is why I enjoyed working in the office, because I could interact with people. Whereas when I work remotely, okay, everybody's all these disembodied voices, and it just there's something lacking when you're working remotely.
Mm, yeah. It's a sense of like disconnection. I feel like sometimes I work hybrid right now, which I feel like it's a nice combination because sometimes I feel like I need my own space to just be. Um, yeah. And then it's also nice seeing people in the office. So I agree with you on that, Graham.
Are you in Illinois right now, or are you in Washington?
I'm in California right now.
Oh,
Yeah. I don't know if I updated you, but yeah, I've been here for the summer. Yeah, yeah, right. Yay, thank you for joining, Drew, Kinsey, everyone. Well, Kinsey was here before. All right, anyone else want to share their views on this icebreaker?
I can share quickly.
Yeah, go
That's
ahead,
okay.
Anne. Yeah.
Are you more of a texter, caller, or voice note person, and why? I feel like growing up, I was always a texter because I just had social anxiety of cold calling somebody. But then as I've gotten older, I've become more of a caller, or I would say I'm straddling texter and caller. I think it really depends. I really enjoy calling because I see that there's like less miscommunication and it's a lot easier to communicate and I guess communicate for whatever reason I was intending to. So I would say I'm not a texter or a caller one over the other. It's more situational, but I'm learning to love calling more.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think you're definitely a caller, and he'll be like, "Oh, did you do this or not?" I'm like, "Wait." But yeah, thank you for sharing. It's definitely situational. I feel like I'm very a voice note person. Sometimes like I'll be too lazy to call, but then texting doesn't do it because it doesn't get all your emotions out. So I really like sending people voice notes when I can. But yeah, all right. Now that we're a little situated, and hopefully this was a fun icebreaker for everyone, I would like to introduce our speaker, Shri, who is joining us again for Wisdom Wednesdays. If you've been to one of our talks before, you know it's going to be a really amazing session. Um, she is an empathic communication teacher, a yoga teacher, and she also works as a director of human resources for two California-based nonprofit. She has volunteered, her and her husband both have volunteered over 2 decades to share this ancient knowledge of Bhakti Yoga and practical teachings to college students and many others around the world. So we're so grateful to have her today and hear and get some tips ourselves on empathic communication. So over to you, Shri.
Okay, now that was a pretty tough introduction to match. All right, take a breath, man. That's I have an image to keep up here. Um, this is going to be really informal, guys. I'm just so happy to be with you. Time is our most precious resource that we have, and you're gifting me an hour or less now of your time. I'm just so glad to be able to make this e-connection with you. And the topic that I chose for today is, I hope you find it funny. I have a admission. I had ChatGPT help me with this topic. Oops, I did it again. Turning empathy misses into breakthroughs. Okay. So what is that? How does that land for you when you hear that? What goes on for you?
I think I think as I have grown older, I am less black and white about my perspective, which allows me to take what is someone is doing and put myself into their shoes. And I think that's maybe that's what it is taking that and seeing why someone has behaved in a certain way versus just looking at the behavior. And as I am finishing my team's annual review, that is something that I am constantly thinking about.
Yeah, thank you. So connecting with more than just the words that hit us or the behavior that we can see. Um, Sometimes going deeper than that and taking a whole perspective in. Yeah, Priya, is that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I was thinking about the guilt I experience after having an empathy miss
Hmm.
and turning that guilt into a moment of learning. Maybe that could be what it means by breakthrough.
Thank you. So you approach someone with the best of intentions to really sit with them in, it could be their pain or it could be their joy. And it doesn't always land the way you intended, right? So there's a difference between intention and impact. And perhaps the impact was different than what you had intended for it to be. So how to take that moment and turn it into a moment of learning. Thank you. One last, it could even be an anecdote or something you want to share.
It makes me think of like giving people, I'm sorry, I'm in a loud place, but I want to chime in and share. It makes me think of giving people the benefit of the doubt in situations. And not only that, but like asking clarifying questions on, what they meant when they said something.
Yeah, because the way I may be perceiving something or the way it is landing for me may very well be different than what their intention was. So giving people the benefit of the doubt or assuming innocence. Thanks, Kinsey. I actually didn't hear anything behind you, so it seemed like it was totally quiet. Appreciating all of your sharing. So, we're on this spiritual quest. All of us here are seekers. We're looking for something higher. And then there's the relating to people along the way on a very human level, finding this shared reality, um, connecting, and sometimes approaching with a lot of our vulnerability. And then, oops, sometimes we miss the mark. It may not either land as empathy for people, or we may also not have all the skills it takes to sit in empathy with people in pain or people experiencing a celebration. Um, so we're going to walk through some situations, and this is going to be playful. So I hope you're in the mood for some play and interaction tonight, because I'm going to need your help to work this out. So you might have noticed we have these like animals here. Yeah. So like what's with the savannah theme? Um, any, I don't know if we spoke about this last time, but basically where I come from is this whole field of nonviolent communication. I don't know how many of you have heard of NVC, but in NVC, often the giraffe is used as a symbol of empathic communication. Um, and Why might that be? What is so special about a giraffe?
Maybe the long neck, so it's able to kind of look at a different perspective, maybe.
Yeah. It almost it makes me think, did we talk about this last time?
I think we covered it in the beginning. A recap would be great.
Right. So it's used as a symbol of nonviolent communication because the giraffe has this long neck. Yeah. So ability to see impacts of our words, the ability to kind of zoom out of a situation and consider the consequences rather than just reacting to things. And it can have a long-term view on relationships rather than a very immediate, like, I need someone to do this, like right now, instead of being stuck on these kind of outcomes and strategies, perhaps taking a more long-term view on relationships and prioritizing accordingly. Anything else that occurs to you about a giraffe? Why a giraffe might symbolize nonviolent communication?
I think the giraffe is just generally unimposing, right? He's big, but he is not as scary.
Yeah, yeah. Not intimidating. They're typically gentle creatures.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. So, mindful, being sensitive and mindful of how we navigate the world and the relationships around us. Yeah. That could be one symbol. Um, some other reasons why the giraffe is used is because it has this long neck, it needs to have a really big heart to pump blood all the way up to its brain. So of all land animals, giraffes have this ginormous heart. And so it's used as a symbol to speak of this expansive, open-hearted approach to relationships rather than a constricted heart that's too stuck up on making demands or attached to particular outcomes. But all of that being said, the giraffes are also um, very strong and they can kick a lion and kill a lion. So NVC is not about being nice, just being like conflict avoidant and being nice, fawning, pleasing everyone. Um, it's about, speaking our authentic truth, which can come with assertiveness. And we can stand up for our values and have some very firm boundaries around our needs as well. And then finally, another reason is the giraffe likes to eat thistles and thorns, and it can digest thistles and thorns. So have you noticed sometimes in life, criticism and judgments and, can come our way? And how do we hear those with giraffe ears? Looking for the very beautiful human need, crying out behind that judgment. You're so irresponsible. So the giraffe, this is really high-tech technology. When you put on giraffe ears like this, you don't hear, you're so irresponsible, because you can digest that thistle and thorn and you can convert that into, wow, I think this person might have a need for responsibility. They want to be able to trust in commitments that are made to them. You're able to transform that judgment into a need. I know. I love this high-tech technology. When my kids were younger, I would keep these giraffe ears around, and I told them that sometimes if you think I'm not listening to you, just like give me my giraffe ears and say, "Mommy, here, put on your giraffe ears. You're not listening to me." So they used to do that. They used to help me become a better communicator. And then there's the jackal, and no bias against any creature. I'm a vegan, so I believe in nonviolence to every living entity. But the jackals have this way of howling that's like so unpleasant. So the jackal's speech symbolizes the opposite, perhaps speech that isn't well intentioned or doesn't land well. So let's look at some empathy misses. Yeah, the jackal speech. Some ways where we might miss empathy. So I'm going to request everybody to be really uh, attentive because we're going to do a role play at the end of this. And to do our role play, we're going to need you to really listen to these 10 empathy misses that we're going to discuss. These are ways in which we miss each other. Yeah. So let's say I come to you with a problem. I say, oh my God, my kids, like all day long, they've just been like asking for this and that and the other thing. And just like, they want, my older son, he wants a Tesla now that he's driving. Like, I mean, like, so I come to you with a problem. Okay. And we're going to walk through 10 different ways you could miss being empathic with me. First is giving advice or fixing. Now, remember, none of these, I liked what Priya was saying in the beginning of as she is getting older, which by the way, I don't think you're a day over 16, but as she said that as she's getting older, she's starting to see more shades of gray and nuances and subtleties rather than just black and white. Yeah. So I'm not here to tell you that these ways of communicating are wrong. There is a place in life for advice and fixing things. Like if I have a medical emergency, like don't just like sit with me and say, "Are you feeling frustrated because you need some respect?" Like just take me to the hospital, okay? So there's a time for fixing the situation. So we're not here to say this is wrong and the right way is to just sit with someone in empathy. There is a time and place for giving advice, offering to fix something, sometimes to rescue people. There's a time and place for it. But we're saying that usually our first need as a human being is just for someone to sit with us in empathy. So giving advice or fixing is one way. I'm going to request, Graham, would you be willing to read what's on the screen under giving advice or fixing?
Giving advice or fixing. Telling the other person what you think they should do. For example, I think you should move to another community where you're appreciated.
Yeah. So you can probably see how that would like, shut me off when I come to you with like, man, nobody appreciates me in this community. And just like, this is what you should do. Analyzing. I'm wondering, Priya, if you would be up for reading this.
Diagnosing, interpreting, or evaluating a person's behavior. Example, I think you're taking this out on your wife when in reality you are angry with your mother about things that happened in your childhood. Oh, I hate that.
I know.
Like, oh, damn, I hate that.
Yeah. My first response is, don't be my therapist. I have one. Thank you. Manya, storytelling.
Storytelling. Grabbing the focus away from another person and placing it back to your own experience. Example, I know just how you feel. That reminds me of a time when I was new at school and people used to bully me.
Again, there's a time for shared reality. Boy, I can relate to your pain. Again, Priya was saying in the beginning, sitting in someone's shoes, right? How does it feel to be in this place where you're being bullied? But one thing we want to track with empathy is where is the focus? With empathy, we're serving the other person. We're focusing on their need. And with storytelling, we grab the focus. Now we're focused on ourselves. So tracking is a big part of the skill of empathy. And then there's pity, sympathy. So Ayana, I'm going to respect, you had initially said that you'll be listening because you're on the go, but if you ever want to just, jump in and start reading, you are more than invited. But I'm going to go to who's next on my screen. Kinsey, would you be willing to read this?
Feeling sorry for someone or sharing your own feelings about what they said. Oh, you poor thing. I feel so sad for you.
So now there are two people in pain. I'm already sad, with all the Tesla and all the demands of my kids. And now I feel so sad for you. Oh, you poor thing. Kind of like a little like, looking down on someone. It just feels like that to me. Get off my. Sit with me. Don't look down upon me, is what I would say to that. Dhruva, I'm wondering if you're in a position to read reassuring. Maybe not. Dana, would you be willing to read? Okay. So I'm just going to request Graham, Priya, and Manya, and Kinsey, the four of you. So Graham.
Reassuring, consoling, trying to make someone feel better. You might be upset now, but I'm sure you'll feel better soon.
It's like, how do you know that? That you're sure I'll feel better soon?
Yeah, my best friend just died, and yeah, you get over it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like when we haven't done our own inner work with our own darkness and our pain, it's really hard for us to sit with someone else who's in the darkness. We want to turn on the light and we want you to feel better because I'm uncomfortable, sitting with you in this darkness. So it's so important in this empathy work that we have dealt with our own darkness. Priya, shutting down.
Discounting the speaker's feelings and trying to shift them in another direction. Example, quit feeling sorry for yourself. After all, you're reaping the results of your own karma, and there's no reason to feel sad. It's just a quiz. There will be many more. And I hate the cultural appropriation of the word karma in this as well.
Yeah. Right. Thank you. Okay. Manya, changing the subject.
Avoiding an uncomfortable moment that you don't know how to deal with and changing the course of the conversation. Example, yeah, how about Trump's latest tariffs? Have you heard about them?
Oh, I love the reactions on the screen. Yeah, especially I'm a chaplain and we deal a lot with death. I mean, death happens. And something that people tell me is they lose friends. People don't know how to be around them, so they just like cut off for some time until they're feeling better again, then people engage again. I would rather you just tell me, I don't even know what to say right now. Like, I don't even know how to like show up in your loss, but at least stay engaged with me through my grief and through my loss. So often people like to change the subject if they're uncomfortable about something rather than staying with me in my pain. Kinsey, interrogating?
Using directed questions to expose a person's behavior or to provoke guilt. Where did this begin? Or why did you talk during class when you know that your teacher doesn't like that?
A lot of children tell me they face this a lot. So they'll come to their mom or dad and they have oh my God, my teacher said, or, I got suspended. What happened? What did you do? Like, why would you do it? They're just like, there's no togetherness. There may be a time to find out what happened, but when a child is hit immediately with interrogation, they are less likely in the future to actually reveal what's going on for them. Commiserating. Graham?
Agreeing with the speaker's judgment of others. Yeah, I know what you mean. That man is always getting angry at everyone for no reason.
Love the drama. Yeah, in counseling couples, which I do, the biggest no is, when the wife comes to you with her issues about her husband, don't start agreeing with her. Yeah, he's such a jerk. Yeah, you're right. Because what ends up happening is those two will make up with each other, and then you're the bad guy. also this commiserating, right? It's not helpful to enforce people's judgment. Behind the judgment, there's a lot of pain. And we can provide empathy for that need that is being unmet. But empathy is understanding independent of agreement. We don't have to agree with people to sit with them in empathic presence. And finally, one-upping. Priya?
Convincing the speaker that you've encountered worse than whatever the speaker has been through. Example, you think that's bad? Let me tell you what my dad did to me. So horrible. And all of us old-timey parents, and maybe even our parents did this to our children.
Yes. Yep.
When I was your age, back in my day.
That's right. That's right. Oh, I used to hate hearing that. And I've said it to my kids, and they hate hearing. All right, so we're going to do a role play. So I'm going to request you, if you have, maybe you have a phone around somewhere, every now and then you use your phone. If you have a phone around, I would request you to scan this, because what's going to show up are these empathy misses, and that will make it easier for you to do the role play. So I'll just give a second for anybody who needs to pull it up still.
I had to request access.
Ah,
And
well,
I'm coming from
well.
p@priyasinha.us.
So I'm just going to make it open for anybody that has a link. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay, so now try that.
Can we scan it again? Okay.
Yes, so let me share.
It's just open for me.
Yeah, because I allowed anybody to view it now. Okay, so does that work?
So what I'm seeing is the 10.
Uh-huh.
The 10. Is there something else I should see?
Nope. You have
Okay.
one document with, thank you, Manya. And she's put in the chat too. One document with all the 10. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to do a little role play. Okay. I would like one volunteer to share with the group a problem that they have. Now, I don't want you to choose a 10 on your scale, like, you're going to go into a full-blown trauma reaction again, because I don't have the skills to handle that. So somewhere between a 2 and a 5, like it's not so small that, it means nothing to you, but it's not so big that, like, we're going to have to call emergency right now. So is anyone willing to volunteer a problem they have? And we're just going to hear a little bit about it. And then we're going to role play. We're going to do these empathy misses.
I'm trying to think of a good one, if there is one. But if someone has it, please share.
Well, I'll share something. Because I'm doing employee evaluations, this one is sitting on the top of my head. I have one person who has a difficult time managing time and calendar, and has not shown up to meetings with me. And so I can tell you how I managed it, but I hope I did a good job.
Yeah, so you have an employee that has a tough time managing their time, their workload, probably their priorities.
Prioritizing.
Yeah. So there's some lack of discretion and discrimination, it seems, in, really discerning what needs to happen, what needs to take more priority. That's a great one. We can go with that. Okay. So Graham, Manya, and Kinsey, I know the three of you are here. Ayana and Dana, unless I hear from you otherwise, we'll just keep you out of this. Is that okay? And if you want to participate, of course, we'd be delighted to. Okay, so I see a heart from Dana, so we'll just assume that. All right, so now we have Priya's problem, and we're gonna like do some role plays of like what not to do, because that can be pretty instructive. So, number one, Graham, would you be willing to give some advice or fix this problem?
Sure. Well, you need to just lay down the law. I mean, this person really needs to either just shape up or ship out.
Okay, I'm going to do analyzing. That's diagnosing, interpreting, evaluating a person's behavior. Yeah, you know, Priya, something I'm thinking is that, like, I think you are pretty micromanaging when it comes to being a manager. Because, like, I just like to like treat people like they're adults, you know, like, excuse me, but like, I think you can just back off here.
I love the accent that you delivered that with too.
Okay, storytelling. Wondering if Manya, you can do this one.
Yeah. You know, Priya, I know just how you feel because it reminds me, when I was a manager for this team and an employee was doing it to me, I honestly just fired them because I don't think this kind of work should be accepted, at least when I was in this situation. So,
Thank
Nice
you.
work.
All right, Kinsey, would you be willing to try pity or sympathy? Feeling sorry for someone, sharing your own feelings about what they said.
Priya, I'm so sorry that you're feeling like that. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible.
Thank you. Graham, would you reassure Priya?
Yeah, but these situations have a way of working out by themselves. Don't worry.
God, he's so good. I want to take you for every seminar I do, Graham. Shutting down. This is discounting the speaker's feelings, trying to shift them in another direction. Yeah, you know, Priya, I was thinking, you know, this marathon that you're running, like, why don't we just like go together for our workout tomorrow and like, you know, well, let's just forget about work, okay? All right, Manya, changing the subject.
yeah, that's true. Did I tell you about my new cat that I just and I'm her name is also Priya. You might like her.
Okay,
That
Kinsey,
was a good distraction. That would actually distract me.
any fur babies? Kinsey, would you interrogate?
So tell me about the initiation of this problem. What did she say? And then what did you say back? And then what followed that after that?
All right, Graham, commiserating.
Okay, so the commiserating is more.
Agreeing with the speaker's judgment of others.
Okay. Yeah, I know exactly how you feel. Yeah, I really wouldn't put up with that. It just, I can understand. Yeah, I completely understand what you're saying.
Thank you. And one-upping. Priya, that's the biggest problem you have. Like, people are dying out there. There's wars going on, okay? And you are worried about like one employee that you're doing performance appraisal for.
You guys are very good at this.
All right. So tell me how you feel, Priya, after receiving all this.
Well, I'm actually feeling, like I said, I think I put it in the chat, like all of these things give me the ick. They all give me the big ick. And then the commiserating one, I think if you are speaking to a friend or someone who's, you know, in any sort of relationship, I think that brings an additional problem of you're supporting someone in a way that doesn't allow them to have the truth of the situation. And I don't know how to explain that any better, but so I think that one leads to further problems. But yeah, all of these.
Yeah, I think of it as the difference between fitting in and true belonging. And sometimes to fit in, I want to buy love, so I want to please and fawn, and I don't want to be so authentic. I just want to agree with you and, like, you know, get in your good books because the focus is on me. My need is on the table here. And
Yeah.
if I truly want to serve your need, I don't have to agree with your judgment. I have to see your pain. So thank you for playing along. I have a question for those who are willing to share. Which of these are you most familiar with? Either as your default or you encounter it from others.
I'm old, so I feel like I have encountered all of these.
Me too.
Yeah, and I think my default tends to be the reassuring one. I want people to feel better. So that tends to be my default because I don't want to see them hurting.
Yeah. And there's this beautiful difference.
And I'm going to stop it now that you told me to stop it.
And I think of it as this beautiful distinction between being a rescuer and a coach. And I know when I sometimes start reassuring, I'm trying to rescue people. Versus a coach wants to companion you through your challenge. I don't want to rescue you. I want to empower you to develop the tools that you need because life is challenging. Anybody else? Lanya?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've been encountered with storytelling a lot. And in my mind, I thought that was very empathetic, that someone, or I do this also, like if someone tells me something like, don't worry, you know, I've been this through, like, you know, this happened to me, as a means of connection between us, as something that can relate us with each other. But knowing about this is making me become more conscious of the effects of that and noticing that more.
Yeah, and it's beautiful to be able to hear, oh, you've been through that too. And there's a time for it. I wouldn't say it produces empathy potentially if that's what we default to. So thank you for playing along. And I want to share something that is a video that's one of my favorite videos. It's only like 2.5 minutes on what is empathy from Brené Brown.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you climb down. I know what it's like down here. And you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no. You want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with at least. Yeah. And we do it all the time. Because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Oh, so I like that video, and I want to share. This is the basis of all of nonviolent communication. If I can summarize nonviolent communication in one picture, one image, or one slide, it's this. I flourish when I nourish the needs beneath my feelings. So we understand in NVC that all our feelings come from needs being met or not. So when our needs are being met, needs for belonging, peace, beauty, intimacy, integrity, shared reality, then you can see the tree on the left is green, and we may feel joy, tender, empowered, optimistic, ecstatic. And when these needs are not met, they could be survival needs for air, food, water. I was so glad that, Priya, you were meeting your need for nourishment, because we need to meet these needs in order to even, participate or engage with material. Or it may be thriving needs like affection, compassion, consideration to matter. And if these needs are not met, you can see on the right, the tree is bare. We feel burnt out, tired, repulsed, jealous, pining, miserable, hurt, and so forth. So when people, and we don't see the needs, right? We don't see the roots of the tree. But what we could potentially see, or what people might give us a clue into, is how they're feeling. So the empathy is for the needs. When we connect with the needs that are met or not met, that's where NVC says true human connection happens. The human soul doesn't want to be advised or fixed or saved. It simply wants to be witnessed, to be seen, heard, and companioned exactly as it is. So, as an example, I'm just going to get back to that situation that Priya shared. And wow, Priya, I'm wondering if you're feeling frustrated because you really want to support your employees, or the people that you work with to achieve their full potential. Is that what's going on for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you really have this desire to like help this person be competent, to have a sense of accomplishment in their role. And so you're wondering like how to support them through giving them feedback in this performance management cycle that you're going through right now at work, how to give them feedback that can help them achieve their full potential. Is that what's, what's up for you? Is that what you're contemplating?
Yeah.
So notice how that's very different than advising, fixing, yeah, that person is a total nonsense anyway, whatever, all of those things. It's connecting with Priya's need for contribution. So as a human being, as a fellow employee and or somebody who's managing this person's work, she has a need to contribute to this person's life. She wants to help them achieve contribution, purpose. Um, I connected with their need for competence and accomplishment. So when I connect with that, when we do enough of that, Priya's body might settle. There may be a time and place for. I'm wondering if you're open to a strategy that I've used with managing employees that are in similar shoes. And she may say yes, she may say no. And if it's a yes, I can share, oh, here's one strategy that I used. I did da 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 da, you know. So it's not that, we're saying never, never, never those empathy misses, but connect with people. I like this, we say, don't just sit there, do something. Well, we're talking the opposite. Don't just do something, sit there. Because guess what? If I give advice to Priya, she's less likely to follow it because she has a need for autonomy and choice. And if the solution comes from her, when people receive enough empathy, they develop the resourcefulness to come up with strategies that work for them. And if we keep feeding people, being the rescuer and giving people advice and finding them strategies, often they're not willing to follow through that because human beings have a need for freedom. So empathy is understanding independent of agreement. I don't have to agree with you that this person is no good, they should be fired. I don't have to disagree with you. I just companion you. Anukampa is a Sanskrit word. And it's used to describe how Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, trembles with us. Kampa in Hindi, kampna means to tremble. So Krishna is sitting in our heart and he trembles with us through our joys and through our sufferings. Understanding is not simply verbal comprehension. It is feeling it in your bones. That level of a human connection. I'm wondering, Kinley, if you would be willing to read Empathic Presence. Kinsey, I'm sorry, Kinsey.
That's okay. Empathic presence. Even when others are in pain, disconnected from themselves, expressing intensity, or in judgment, I want to maintain a relaxed presence with their experience. If I find myself attempting to fix, offering advice, or turning my attention elsewhere, I want to seek support to regain my faith in the transformative power and the gift of just being with another.
So Manya had brought this up in the beginning, how to turn a situation where I may not show up in empathic presence into a moment of learning. And this is from Mickey Kashtan, who's an NVC trainer. I like this. It's just switching that, faith on again, bringing our faith back online. In that moment, I want to regain faith that if I just offer my empathic presence and gift them my empathic presence, that we can make a breakthrough, even if, oops, I've missed it. So that's all I have. And I'm wondering, in the remaining 6 minutes, you'd be willing to share anything that's coming up for you. How's this landing for you?
I find go ahead.
So I love this, and I love what you're talking about, because I think so many of us face it and unable to put words to it, Shri. And I'm wondering if you can share the tree that you had.
Absolutely. I'll drop a link in the chat.
I wanted to say that I've been guilty of all those. That's why I'm so good at it. But there was well, when my father passed, yeah, the funeral guy came by and he said, he shook my mom's hand and said, "Sorry for your loss." Oh wow, that's really gee, thanks. And I thought, okay. And I would get cards, sorry for your loss, or in deepest sympathy. What is this? I mean, I had a colleague come up. He didn't say anything. He just put his arm on my shoulder. And a few months later, I was leaving the department and was moving to corporate. And I said to him, well, hey, I want to thank you. This is what? I said, he said, I didn't do anything. I said, no, you did more than you realize.
Yeah.
And then there was this harkens back to when I was working at a different position altogether, and a colleague had lost her husband. And so they had, grief counselors that would come over and, talk with us. And of course, it didn't really affect me, but one of the people sitting across, she broke down and started crying. And I didn't say anything. I just took her hands and just, maybe it's I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Oh no, I mean, I know for me, when I'm going through a significant loss, there's just this quality of presence that is helpful, and then there's, the stuff that comes that's not helpful. Um, I totally resonate. I'm totally resonating with what you said, Graham. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Kenzie, you had something, and I think we'll end with your comment.
Yeah, I find it's so easy for me to just jump into, trying to give advice or fixing. Like, I want to solve their problems. And so just to be reminded that, that's not my job. That's not my job. It never will be. I mean, yeah, at times, giving a little bit of advice with consent can be beneficial. But at the same time, just empowering them through this experience rather than like, trying to manipulate or fix or change it. It's such a good, gentle reminder of, how to communicate with others without, needing to be Dr. Fix It and fix their problems for them.
The Superman or Superwoman. All right, so I want to end with just 2 more slides. Here's another barcode. So I have this WhatsApp group. If you use WhatsApp, and I send out information of courses. Currently, I'm teaching a course that's called Peace Starts at Home, Empathic Communication for Intimate Relationships. So this is all about significant other, partner, marriage kind of relationships. I teach a lot of courses on parenting and nonviolent communication. And then, professional, at workplaces and so forth, as well as just community living. So if you're interested, you can join this and you'll find information about our upcoming courses. We have another one coming up in August, end of August. It's called The Empowerment Dynamic. So how to change from being a rescuer to a coach. And thank you for your time, says the giraffe. That's all I got.
Oh my God, that was awesome. Thank you, Shri. It's just amazing. And as Kinsey was saying, trying to go out of that rescuer mode. And I really like the point you said in the beginning about when you're talking with people, you're actually serving them. And, being in that zone and reminding ourselves that would be really helpful. And I'm excited for the courses also, especially the one in August. So thank you for sharing that about your community here. And thank you everyone else for coming and giving us your time on Wisdom Wednesdays. We're so grateful to have you here. And if you are in Seattle currently, we do have some events coming up, in-person ones, if you'd like to join. On Friday, we have a movie night, and we're watching the Disney movie Soul, if any of you have heard about that. And then Saturday, we have Soul Fest, a Kirtan Soul Fest, with amazing vegetarian and vegan food. So if you'd like to come, please do come. I've sent a link of our events page. And if not, we'll see you at Wisdom Wednesdays next week. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you. Nice seeing everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.